This is ABC.
From ABC News, the Weekend Report. Here's Tom Jarriel.
Good evening. 7 leaders of the world's most powerful industrialized nations have spent this day in conference in Toronto, Canada, in an extraordinary show of harmony and respect for one member who's attending his final economic summit, President Reagan. Despite their clear regard for Mr. Reagan, there is opposition to some of his views among those exclusive club members. We have 2 reports. First, Steve Shepard.
The 7 leaders of the largest industrial democracies ended the first day of the summit with a stroll along the shores of Lake Ontario and a dinner at Toronto's elegant Hunt Club. The relaxed atmosphere matched the day's almost casual pace. After formal arrival ceremonies, President Reagan met with French President Mitterrand and listened as the French leader explained his country's plan to forgive much of the debt owed it by third world countries. That meeting was followed by a plenary session with all the assembled leaders, during which Mr. Reagan pressed the Europeans to reduce their agricultural subsidies as the U.S. has done. The Europeans say they can't do that, but President Reagan still thinks the meeting went well.
Fine. You'll be getting a statement pretty quick.
The fact is, economically, the 7 nations at this summit are doing quite well now, and there are not many hot issues to debate here.
This is a point to kind of take stock and look ahead.
Day 2 of the summit will feature 2 more sessions in which all 7 heads of state will exchange views on matters such as trade and treatment of newly industrialized countries. Those talks may be useful, but the fact is there is no urgent matter pending before the 7 leaders. President Reagan's 8th and final economic summit may be his most harmonious. Steve Shepard, ABC News, Toronto.
This is Barry Dunsmore. What was probably President Reagan's last appearance on the international stage may be his least important. With only 6 months to serve, nothing he can say or do here is likely to have any impact on future alliance policy. By contrast, the Japanese are using this summit to move from the shadows to center stage. At this, his first summit, Japanese Prime Minister Takeshita announced his plan to more than double Japan's foreign aid program. Under the plan, Japan will provide $50 billion in foreign aid over the next 5 years and will immediately provide grants of $5.5 billion to some of the world's poorest countries to help them pay off their debts. And so the Toronto summit may ultimately be remembered as the place where the Japanese finally began to assume the responsibilities that come with being a world economic power. Barry Dunsmore, ABC News, Toronto.
This is Paul Dandridge with a West Coast update. A Western diplomat in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, reports that Haitian President Leslie Manigat has been taken hostage. Troops loyal to Army Chief Lieutenant General Henri Nanfi, who was deposed on Friday, captured the presidential palace after a gun battle tonight.
The Montgomerys, Jack and Phyllis had been good clients and good friends. So when Jack died, it was very upsetting. As his attorney, I had all of his personal affairs to settle, so Phyllis was on the phone with me a lot. One day, out of the blue, she exploded. Apparently, every time she tried to call me, she was either cut off or transferred to the wrong person or put on hold forever. Turned out that our new phone system had the whole place intimidated. No one could make it work. It was supposed to make us look good, and we were coming across looking like a bunch of clowns.
Members of Congress today blamed sloppy Defense Department management for the Pentagon contract scandal and said Attorney General Meese and former Defense Secretary Weinberger were warned about alleged wrongdoing 2 years ago. But in an interview in tomorrow's New York Times, Weinberger said he only recently became aware of the FBI inquiry. Former Navy Secretary John Lehman has come under scrutiny by federal investigators who think he may have obstructed justice in connection with their probe. Dennis Trout reports.
Lehman is believed to have warned his one-time aide, Melvin Paisley, about the federal investigation. Government papers allege that Paisley helped McDonnell Douglas market its F-18 fighter by illegally providing classified or confidential information to the defense contractor. House Armed Services Committee Chairman Les Aspin said Lehman is at least responsible for bringing the wrong people to his staff.
And some of the people who were with him maybe had a little shady characters. But if you were with John Lehman, on his side in all of the fights, boy, you were on the inside.
Congressman John Dingell is blaming former Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger for lax supervision of military spending.
Clearly indifference on the part of Mr. Weinberger during his tenure is a major part of the situation.
Senator Charles Grassley, a longtime critic of defense spending practices, says the Justice Department ignored a request for an investigation he made in 1985. Roy Dyson of Maryland, one of two congressmen reportedly implicated in the probe for his dealings with defense contractors, denied in a telephone interview that he did anything illegal or wrong.
We're not privy to that kind of classified information that insiders in the Pentagon would have that would give an advantage to one particular contractor over another.
Leaders in both houses predict more hearings on the procurement issue, but insist that what's needed is better managers, not more laws. Dennis Trout, ABC News, Washington.
Former Maryland Congresswoman Gladys Spellman died early today in a nursing home outside Washington. She was 70 and had been in a coma for nearly 8 years. Mrs. Spellman won election to a fourth term in 1980, although hospitalized and unconscious at the time. In an unprecedented move, Congress later declared her seat vacant and elected a successor. Mrs. Spellman never regained consciousness.
Morning. What, no kiss?
Oh, sorry. Lips that touch sugar and preservatives will never touch mine.
Okay.
No. Oh, I want real commitment.
Nutri-Grain?
Mm-hmm.
New Kellogg's Nutri-Grain biscuits.
Biscuits?
Think positive.
All right, no sugar added, no salt, no preservatives. I'm positive I'm going to hate this.
Introducing the only shredded wheat with no preservatives. Nutri-Grain biscuits.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk commitment.
New Nutri-Grain biscuits.
Another day is turned to night. Close your eyes, say goodnight.
Salmon X2 has a sleep ingredient doctors recommend to help you fall asleep safely without worry. Salmon X2.
Good night.
I've been trying to sell my house for 6 months. Nothing. Then the guy next door puts this sign in his front yard here. Before I know it, his place is sold. He's out of here.
We've helped more than 1 million people buy and sell homes. We're Realty World, the results people.
Monday, the story of two men and their unique cafe that will let the poor dine with dignity. Helping the less fortunate has never been like this. Watch ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Some portions of the drought-stricken Midwest got a little bit of relief in the form of showers and thunderstorms this weekend. But for the most part, farmers from the northern plains to the southeast are still plagued by dry weather. And as Charles Thomas reports, some are resorting to unconventional measures in an effort to change their luck.
In Clyde, Ohio, a Sioux Indian medicine man is hired to do a rain dance.
We want to ask you for a blessing with your water of life, the thundering, the lightning.
Leonard Crow Dog gets $2,000 for his effort, but not a drop from the sky. Ohio and most of the Midwest and Southeast endured another dry weekend. Water use restrictions remained in effect in many cities, including Oak Brook, Illinois, where 7 homeowners had their water turned off for illegal lawn sprinkling.
Most of the people we've done it to have been sleeping, so we leave notes on their door so when they wake up and realize they have no water, that they immediately call.
In the South, barges cautiously navigated the shallow Mississippi River this weekend as water levels continued to fall. But there could be help on the way from Chicago, where engineers are reviewing a plan to release water from Lake Michigan into the Chicago and eventually the Illinois and Mississippi rivers.
It would cost absolutely nothing to do it. There's no cost involved.
The National Weather Service predicts continued dry weather for most of the Midwest and northern plains. So drought-weary farmers attending Sunday worship services had something else to pray for. Rain that's been so long in coming, it would seem like a miracle. Charles Thomas, ABC News, Chicago.
In sports, there will be a playoff tomorrow in the U.S. Open Golf Championships after leader Curtis Strange three-putted the 17th green. That opened the door for Nick Faldo, who putted out with a tie at 6 under par. Monday's 18-hole playoff coverage begins at 4 p.m. Eastern Time here on ABC. And in basketball, the NBA playoffs will go to a 7th and decisive game thanks to a victory today by the L.A. Lakers. The Detroit Pistons were within a basket of the championship, but their final shot was a brick off the backboard. The Lakers got the rebound and new life for their goal of back-to-back NBA championships.
You've always trusted Woolite to care for your fine sweaters. Wouldn't you love to get that same Woolite care for your rugs and for your chairs? Well, here's how. Woolite Deep Cleaning Rug Cleaner works so well, it removes even stubborn dirt. And for chairs, Woolite Upholstery Cleaner foams away dirt safely and beautifully. Get your rugs and upholstery Woolite clean with Woolite Rug Cleaners and Upholstery Cleaner. Trust Woolite care for rugs and chairs.
This whole